This is Fearlessly Fertile. Welcome to the Fearlessly Fertile podcast, episode 351, from shame, blame, and a 1% chance to baby girl. Sam's story. Loves, I am so excited to be bringing you yet another story of triumph from one of my Fearlessly Fertile miracle mamas. With all of these interviews, I hope that you are getting the message loud and freaking clear that you have it within you when you learn to unleash this miracle mama madness inside of you to make the seemingly impossible possible, regardless of past failures, your diagnosis, your age, and all of the things that seem like they're stacked against you. You are going to absolutely love my interview with Sam because she really represents this full transformation that I watch so many women go through on this journey. A lot of women think that they're just trying to have a baby. But the reality is this journey is a becoming. It is an unfolding of this next level of who you are. It's not just putting an egg and a sperm together and boom, you go on to the next chapter. That's not who you have to be on this journey. This journey is a freaking gift. And I have seen women go from just sleepwalking in their lives to really allowing this journey to be the one thing that's like an incredible amplification of all of the amazingness that they were meant to be. And that's exactly what Sam did. Sam had some things going on in her life that had her worried about whether or not this baby was ever going to come. She had a lot of upheaval in her early life. It was starting to show up in her relationships. She was dating for a really long time, and for a period of time, wasn't sure if she was going to meet the right person, but she did. And when she did it on her terms, with a kind of clarity that a miracle mama has, she chose an amazing dad for her daughter. But the challenges didn't stop there. She soon found out that she was struggling with low ovarian reserve and age, and she was 39 when all of this was going on. So she really had to become a woman who beats the odds. I love how honest and generous that Sam was in describing overcoming those things. And she found herself having to make some very individual kinds of choices for herself on this journey. But what you're going to learn from Sam is the power of feeling in to those decisions and being able to discern when something is really right for you and when you're just letting fear, doubt, negativity, shame, and all that crap block your babies. Sam is going to be dropping some amazing nuggets of wisdom from her journey. So here is my conversation with Sam and how she made it to her baby girl. Okay, Sam, here we are. Can you believe that we are having this conversation?
I actually can, because we visualized it in so many different ways when we were doing our courses. I've done 2 of yours, and I was waiting for this day. And I wanted to make sure this was the right time.
Oh, that's great. Okay, well, so it's the right time now. So why don't you start us off by sharing a little bit about how you found yourself on this journey?
Yes. So I'm not one of those ambitious career women when I was growing up. I became one of them. But as far as I can remember, always wanted to be a mom. I always loved playing with dolls. I loved decorating the house, lovely bed linen, having like flowers in the bathrooms and stuff like that. That was my thing. And I was the youngest of 3 girls. And my 2 older sisters, they were career driven. They were like, you know what, I want to get a job. I want to be an entrepreneur. And I was like, no, I just want to have babies. That was my thing. However, growing up in the society that I grew up in, I grew up in Sri Lanka, I found out, or I told myself the story, or I realized that with financial independence comes power and freedom. And that actually made me think, oh, I need to get my act together. I need to start studying. This also would help me become a better mom. Whatever decision I made in my life, thinking back, reflecting back, was always, how can I be a better mom to my child? It was always a girl. I always felt a girl spirit when I was growing up as well. I knew I was going to have a daughter. So I became a chartered accountant. When it came to, I moved to the UK because I was born here but raised in Sri Lanka. So that was also to give my child a better freedom as a female. I knew she was going to be a girl, to live freely in a country. And even when it came to choosing the right partner, that was a big decision. Like choosing the right dad for my daughter was massive. Right?
That's like your first act of as a mom is choosing the right dad.
Exactly. And
well done.
Thank you. I did make a bit of a mistake there, but it also serves you, right? So I did get married when I was 21, but that was when I was going through that good girl era. Like, I don't know who I was trying to be good for, but the obedient daughter who obeys their parents, etc., got married, went through a divorce. Again, it was to do with parenting. He didn't want to raise kids in the UK. It actually was underpinned. Everything that happened in my life was underpinned by this core vision and purpose I had to be a mom. So went through a divorce, and then I struggled with dating. I struggled with dating for 7 years. Now, I explored, or I discovered mindset work when I struggled with dating. Because I was like, I was always attracting losers. I hope I can say that word on here. Who needed financial assistance and like rescuing and all that, because it was the energy I was giving out. And basically, I signed up to work with a coach. And within 8 months, I met my now partner 6 years ago. And then again, actually, we were talking about this a couple of months ago. Apparently, the first conversation I had was, before we even meet for a coffee, I'm looking for someone who's open to having kids. Is that on your radar? Are you on that terms? Blah, blah, blah. And he was like, yes. I am open to it. I don't have my own kids. Those were my criteria. You don't have your own kids, but you're open to having kids with someone. And that was like, I wouldn't even meet someone for a coffee. If that wasn't the case, like, what's the point, right?
Oh my gosh. Okay. I love this about you, Sam, because you were not taking in any more broken birds where you're not looking for a baby. You're trying to find a partner to spend your life with and have a baby. Like you didn't want to change your man's diapers.
No, I didn't want a man child. No.
Do you realize what a massive like queen move that is? Like that is a big deal, because some women are in a place where they think they have to dim their light, diminish their own success, and lack clarity in order to have romance. But you did the exact opposite. I love it.
Yeah, I'd rather be single and not even risk not meeting my child than meet the wrong guy and have a child for the sake of it. That was not right. Like, I always knew that I wanted to raise a kid with a partner. I knew that I didn't have it in me to be a single parent, and I have so much respect for those women who do it. It's just that I knew that wasn't my story. I knew that there was going to be a father for this child. And I was also going to break a lot of generational patterns that I was carrying with parenting. Yeah, it was a lot. It's a lot.
Okay, so let's break that down though, because I can have a conversation with you about that because you know all about it. Yes. And I think that when we talk about mindset work, people think it's just being positive, but they don't understand the matrix that we get in and stuck in through generational. Some people call them generational curses, generational patterns, and all of that plays in to a much bigger story, especially when it comes to your fertility. So, okay. So you are in a place where clearly you're doing the work, and your segue into that work was first through dating. So you found your man.
I did.
Wow. Okay. So once you guys met, once you realized that he was not looking for somebody to rescue him, like what happened after that?
I was 39 when I met him, and I knew the clock was ticking. Time was running out, but I wanted to get it right. So we spent a year and a half or so getting to know each other, making sure, again, I was making sure he was the right dad for my daughter. And he probably was doing the same from his end. And we made the decision, yes, we think we're right for each other. We're going to do this. We're going to try for a baby. And I did know mindset wise, I had a lot of fears because growing up, I didn't have the best upbringing in terms of I grew up in a quite volatile environment where my parents separated a lot, etc. And I knew that I was carrying that kind of, there must be something I would have picked up from there. There were lots of things I wanted to fix as well. And there was also a lot of guilt and shame of leaving it for too long. At that time, I was 40 and I was like, oh my God, I'm failing my child. I'm 40 years old. And so I didn't find you. And it wasn't meant to be, right? It all feels like everything happens in a divine timing way. So I found a lady who does hypnosis. She created like a hypnosis, a personalized hypnosis for me, which helped a bit. But I felt like there was a big gap between where I wanted to be as a mom to be versus where I was at that time. And there was a lot of fears, there was a lot of guilt and shame. And that's when I went on YouTube. And I learned stuff by watching, not by reading. So I then binge watched your podcast on YouTube. All the women that you were interviewing. I was shit scared of you, don't get me wrong.
What? Why were you scared of me? Well, was it the American thing?
No,
a little
because
bit
you were
mouthy.
on point, you're direct. I guess I was raised in Sri Lanka, so I'm more like British colony type. You just beat around the bush type of conversations, whereas you're like, woman, you want a baby? Come on, let's get this done, kind of a thing. And so I was a bit scared that way. But then I kept watching you, and also Jan, my partner, he's very logical. He's not into this spirituality stuff. So I would never share any of this with him. So whatever I sign up for, I would never even discuss it with him. So this was for me. And also one of the things I wanted to say from that divorce, one of the biggest decisions I made was whatever big decision I make about my life from there onwards will always be through my conviction. It has to be aligned with me.
Okay. That is massive, Sam. I think that's a point that a lot of women miss. And I would love to chat a little bit more about that, because I think it's really wise that you raise that, because so many women think partnership requires permission from their partner to do the things that are right for them. And what's interesting is, with women seemingly so much freer today, it's almost like in relationships, we feel like we need to go back to this really weird patriarchal way of, I got to talk with my husband first. And it's like, about what? Like,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, and then people will say, use finances. Oh, but we make all of our financial decisions together. Well, wait a second. You can make choices about what's right for you and just share it with him, rather than acting as if you're coming into that looking for permission.
Yes, especially if it's money you earn as well. Nobody has a say on the money I earn. And if I invest in something, I make a mistake, it's on me. And I'm not doing it because my parents told me to, or because my husband told me to. And so any program that I signed up with you, which I'll come back to, I never even, he right now, he doesn't know I'm talking to you. I just said, I'm recording a podcast at 6 o'clock. I need you to be back from work at this time because the baby needs to be with you at this time. And he's like, yeah, that's fine. He wouldn't ask any questions. It's my business.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's it. I love that you have cultivated the freedom and the expectation of adulthood and equality in your own relationship, rather than going to him as, oh, hey, can you do this for me? But, all of these excuses. And I'm willing to bet you encourage him to do the same.
Yes, for sure. And the biggest thing is I trust myself that no matter what, and I haven't had any regrets in the decisions I've made so far. Even sometimes if it didn't go the way I wanted it to, it was like, no, that there's something good that came out of it.
Well, that's, going back to your aim. I mean, as somebody who knew she wanted to be a mom since she was a little girl, and that everything about what you have done in your adult life was about preparing yourself for this moment and really being in a position to do right by her, it makes perfect sense that you would stand in integrity with that idea so that you're applying it in your own life. And then you are going to be able to model that to your daughter, which we'll get to in a second. It's like cat's out of the bag. She's got a baby girl. But take us to the place where, is that something that you actively talked with your man about? Like what, how did you guys set this up? Because we all get to set the culture in our relationships that ultimately really get put to the test on this journey.
It does. I mean, I did want to tell you, I wasn't like this at the start, right? It was the divorce. It was the 7 years of feeling stuck with dating. It was the coaching with the dating coach. It was a coaching with you that also brought me to this place. It was like going through the mill and coming out of it, this different person as well. So I just wanted to say that I wasn't born this way. It was all of those things that happened, moving country, losing my dad to cancer, all that. There were lots of things. Coming back to the relationship. So when it came to me and my partner, for him, he did want kids, but he wasn't as passionate about having kids because he was like, I've won already. I've met you. I've already won in life. But if you really want this, we're going to do this. Because I was going mad. Like that ache of every time I would have thought I'm going to give up. Maybe this is not for me. That ache could be like, no, I've chosen you to be my mom, and you're gonna get me onto the earth side. Like that ache was strong.
Wow. Okay. So let's focus in for just a moment on that ache, because I think when you're on this journey, you feel it, but I think that sometimes we don't allow ourselves to feel it as deeply. I think sometimes we numb it out because we're afraid, but it sounds to me like you let yourself feel the ache and really be in it.
Yes, the ache was real. It was really painful. It felt like nobody else understood it. Only my older sister knew about it. Everyone else was like, oh my God, having kids is such hard work and blah, 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 and all of that. And I was like, no, but there's this little girl. There's this little girl who wants to come into my life, and I can't wait to hold her. But I must tell you about the ache. Something after doing your programs, something shifted where in that, when it comes, when you really want something, you give your power to that. So I kind of put my baby on a pedestal, like begging her to come, like, look, I'm doing this for you. Come to me. Look, like I was like a bit victim-y, but not, I wasn't in my power with that ache. But something shifted where I was like, hey, I had a conversation with her and I said, look, and this was months before she came into my life, was you chose me and I am an honor to be a mum to you. And we are going to do this together. And whenever I felt this ache, I was like, we are on there. I'm not here, you're not here. Like, we both want this and we're going to work it out. If that makes sense. So
Oh my
it
God.
was there.
You know what, Sam? Oh my gosh, this is such a breakthrough moment. And I really hope that the women listening took what you said to heart, because you had your daughter on this pedestal, and on this journey, like, we get into chase mode, and we end up chasing the thing, and we chase our children. But when you're chasing, you're not in your power. You're not allowing yourself to call this baby in, to receive them. And it's less about ego and it's more about receptivity. And I think that's a really hard thing for women to start to wrap their heads around, but it is massive. It's also part of something I know we're going to get to, and that's surrender. Like, when you get into that place that you're describing, where you're like, no, I'm not chasing you. We are doing this together. It's ultimately an act of faith. It is also an act of surrender, saying, hey, you're going to show me, I'm going to meet you where you're at, and we're doing this together. Do you think that's fair?
Yes. Yes. I was in my power, because otherwise she was in her power and I was like begging, like, in a way, it was a manipulative way of parenting. Look here, I've sacrificed so much for you. I've changed country for you. I've gone through a divorce for you. I did this for you. Come, come, come. Like, it was being manipulative in a way. I've spent so much money on coaching for you. Like, no. I did this. We are now on the same level. I'm ready for you. Now show me.
I think that's so powerful, Sam. And I think it's important, especially when we are on a journey of unknown duration, and that is so seemingly unpredictable, because I actually think success is predictable on this journey. I think you can predict it very easily, largely by people's attitudes and their openness and their own receptivity, which you highlight here. I think that a lot of people allow their fear and their doubt to interfere with stepping into that kind of power, to say, of course, this child's coming. I have no idea when, I have no idea how, but this child is coming.
Yeah. Yeah. And the ache is real. This ache is real.
So when you started to feel that ache, and being on this journey really did become a reality, that it wasn't, it might be a bit more of a challenge than you thought. How did you handle that in your relationship?
Oh my goodness. I made a lot of mistakes. It's tested our relationship a lot. And I think the time that I booked a call to talk to you, that's when the spark had gone. We were like going through the ovulation cycle. I was taking 110 supplements. The joy was gone. Everything felt like I was taking my GCSEs every month and failing every month. And I would announce it to him as if we both failed as a couple. It was bad when I spoke to you. And what I wanted to do was throw it all out of the window. And I wanted it to be fun. And I wanted it to flow. And I wanted it to be easy. And that was the vision, right? And I didn't know how to get there, because the guilt and the shame had pushed me down. And this was back in 2023 when we spoke.
Wow. Okay. Well, so at that time, when you're trying and you're not getting pregnant, did you have a diagnosis? Was there anything that you were told?
Yes.
What did they say?
Yes, I was told that I have low ovarian reserves, and there's no chance, like it's like less than 1% chance that I'll get pregnant. And I was told to go for a donor egg. That was the only option I had. However, the clinics that I'm based in the UK, and the clinics that I worked with, there was no life in those clinics. Even the doctor was like, "You're not gonna do it." It's like, oh my God, like, it's like a mortuary here. Like, what the hell? Like, we're trying to create life here, and you're talking like somebody's died already. It's like it's not gonna work, kind of a thing. And it didn't feel right at that time. And also the doctor, the environment, none of that felt right at that time. And then in my heart of hearts, I felt like I wanted to try naturally. And that is when we went, even though it wasn't driven by joy, it was mainly driven by the ovulation cycle, that window, blah, blah, blah. And it was awful. It was just awful. And that's when I thought, I need help. Something's not right. I'm out of alignment. At that time, I was in that manipulative ache stage as well. And that's when I met you and connected with you.
So aside from listening to the podcast, like, what made you want to reach out to a slightly foul-mouthed former prosecutor to help you with this? Like, especially like an American, like, what made you want to do that? Because you could have easily said, well, I know how to do this. I called in my man. I know a little bit about this mindset stuff. Like, what made you want to go to the next step?
I do believe in blind spots, and someone as direct and open as you would actually show it to me, because I knew there were blind spots. I wasn't feeling good in myself. I wasn't feeling good with where we were at. And I needed someone who's not wishy-washy to show me, like, not be Sri Lankan. Sorry, Sri Lankans, but like, just say it and show it to me, because I knew I had body image issues. Like, I was too fat. That's why everything was like a reason not to get pregnant. I'm too old. I'm too fat. I'm too this. I'm too that. And one of the biggest reasons I decided to work with you was I had this feeling that this baby had chosen me to be her mother, but nobody would understand it. Like, there was a spiritual element that I knew that you would get, you would understand, that made me less insane. Like, other people would be like, you're mad. Like, what are you on about? Like, what?
So I was going to help confirm that your insanity was not insane, basically.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's like, yeah, I love the woo-woo-ness. I love the spirituality. I love the Gus element of it. It all it resonated.
Yeah.
And I knew I needed to strengthen that muscle. It wasn't strong enough.
Yeah, well, and what's interesting about that, and I'm so glad that you brought that up, because a lot of people don't appreciate that the spiritual aspect, the non-physical aspect of this is strategic. And it is part of the cause and effect that brings our children in. Because as you well know, that if it was just medicine or if it was just science, then we'd all pop 110 supplements, do a single treatment, and never have to think about it again. But that's hardly the case. There is an X factor, which is ultimately like, newsflash, it's us that is going to decide whether or not those supplements, the treatments, or however somebody pursues their child is going to work. And you were smart enough to figure that out. Well done.
Yeah, thank you.
So we have a conversation and you said yes to yourself and you said yes to your daughter. So you did the 8-week program first.
Yes.
What are some of the biggest takeaways from that?
Oh, goodness sake. There were so many. When I walked away from that 8-week program, I was so full of faith. So full of faith. Like, you've literally shouted out all the fear out of me. Stop it, Sam, stop it. Like, literally shouted at me, shouted it out. I was so full of faith. My vision, I could feel her. You gave me the boldness to go and buy that dress, go and buy that blanket, go follow the signs. I was so in tune with the signs, it was just amazing. And also my relationship with my body. There were lots of things that we addressed on those coaching calls. There are loads. I could go on forever, but I would say mainly faith. It was that faith and that conviction that she's coming, she exists. I'm not crazy to even want this. I think I was holding on to the how when I still finished, because I was so like, naturally, I'm gonna conceive naturally. I didn't let go of the how. I wasn't listening to the different ways it can happen. And almost like a taboo of the donor egg, like, oh, it's not my child if I go for donor eggs, and that's like settling.
Wow, that's a hell of a story, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. And then God showed me put me in certain situations that made me think, ooh, could it be a possibility?
Ooh, say more, Sam. I want to hear about this because,
you don't know this actually. You know, when you came to the UK last year, and
that's right, we met.
That's when we actually met in person. And someone else asked you a question, and another lady responded to her saying that the son that she was holding, who looked identically like her, was conceived through a donor egg. That was the first nudge. The reason why I came to meet you was not only to meet you, I also wanted to build like a community. I was like lacking that after we finished working together. So I was looking for that. But I walked away with nothing. On that day, I felt it was lovely to meet you, but I didn't make any strong connections or new connections. But there was a reason for that. That what that lady said, like there was a reason why it happened. Then at work, there was like a fertility awareness week. And there was this lady who came up and she said she went through her fertility journey and she conceived her daughter through a donor egg. So now little by little, like this, it's like, ooh. So I was looking at epigenetics. I was like, it wasn't like I'm trying to settle. It was curiosity and joy and, ooh, what is this? This feels a bit juicy. Never thought I'll go ahead with it. But shall I come to, to this date, I can't pinpoint to you like one time where we decided it, because after I had that conversation with my daughter, like, we are at the same level. I'm not playing games here. I'm not begging you. I'm not going to manipulate you. I'm not going to try to twist your arm to get you here. I'm honored to be your mom. Like, it's an honor for me to choose me as your mom. Like, we are on the same level. I decided I'm going to go for adoption. I was like, I'm open to it. And I went to my partner and I told him, look, I'm going to explore the option of adoption, because I always wanted to adopt. I think I'm going to adopt in the future when it comes, whatever, there's something there. And then he said, but he wasn't open to it because he wasn't sure if he had it in him to to adopt, which is fair. He always told me that from the start. But I said, I'm sorry. I'll regret it if I don't follow my heart. I want to book some calls. And I actually forgot. It rarely happens. I booked 2 calls, and it very rarely happens that I forgot that I had to attend to those 2 calls with those adoption agencies. And I was like apologizing like crazy and stuff like that. So it never happened. But what he said was, why don't we consider IVF? Now, with the course that I did with you, the 8-week course, and the full throttle course, one of the things that came up was like going to the medical, the white coats, like not giving them your power and authority. So he was the same, like we're on the same page where we wanted to work with the fertility clinic that we really like working with, kind of a thing. So he said, why don't we consider IVF? And why don't we interview some clinics to explore IVF? And and we decided to go with Europe. So we literally organized interviews with Cyprus, Greece, Spain, like so many clinics, and in the UK as well. And we were interviewing them. We were not telling them, what could you give us? What do you think you can do for us? Some of them did offer us IVF. But, and I have nothing against IVF, when we were talking about the process, the amount of injections and the stimulation and the medication, when they were talking about it, I was feeling like drained. I was like, oh my God, this feels off. This doesn't feel right. And then that's when I asked, okay, tell me about the donor egg option. Can I avoid some of these injections if I go for that? Because they said, yeah, the donor has to go through all of that with the stimulation and all of that. So yeah, minimal. I was like, oh, that sounds nicer than the idea. And it genuinely felt so seamless how we got there. It felt like, and then we met this, oh my God, we came across this, the most amazing for us clinic in Spain. And we agreed to sign up to explore the donor egg option with them. And it was like building a bear. It was like, oh, my partner was like, has to have Sam's eyes, smile. Like, I was like, I couldn't be bothered. Like, I was like ambitious, spiritual. Like, I was more that way. And he was like, Sam's hair, Sam's this. And I was like, oh, this is fun. It actually felt fun. It didn't feel like I was settling.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Let's dig into that, because I think one of the biggest misconceptions out there amongst women living the fertility journey is that using a donor egg is somehow less than or some Frankenstein operation. But from your perspective and where you were coming from is this idea, how can I do this with joy? How can I do this with excitement? And it's extraordinary to me, Sam, what you did in that moment. You could hear your own voice saying all of those injections, it doesn't feel right to me. That is a power move that very few women ever stop to think about, much less listen to. Most of the time, it's like charging through it. I'm going to stab myself repeatedly. I am not at all looking at how to do this with ease, whatever they choose, right? I mean, like everyone's path is different. And I think that's wonderful.
Yeah.
But in your unique story, I think what is compelling and really extraordinary is that in that moment, rather than the taboo that you mentioned, or the fear and the freak out and the worry about whether or not this baby's going to look like you tapped in and said, this feels off to just do IVF.
Yeah.
This other option feels right to me. I'm blown away.
It felt so right. It felt so easy. How easily they found a donor in a couple of months, even us going together, and also our relationship strengthened because for once we were like coming together. We were like, oh my God, like this feels like fun. We're like, we've got like embryos and we were like, everything flowed. And even the fertility clinic, I mean, don't get me wrong. There were the first round I flew to Spain. I had forgotten to take some medication. So I had to fly back home. I had to fly back and I went by myself for my transfer. I didn't because we have a dog, Shakira. I mean, she's my firstborn. She's my first daughter, really. So we agreed that Yadi's going to look after the dog and I will go for the transfer. And it was a sacred thing. Like I was all ready. And then just before the transfer, the doctor was like, some levels are quite low or whatever. Have you been taking that supplement? I was like, oh my God, I forgot. So there was a bit of mess around it. Don't get me wrong. Like it wasn't smooth sailing in that way. But the second time round, it was fine. Because I believe in divine timing. There's always a time that she was meant. She was born on the 25th of September. Everything, like even the messiness was there's a bigger picture here. It's not about that mistake. I knew it. Like there was something about it. Like, so I went the second time round by myself and it was amazing. And we had a little party with my clinic. Like the minute we did the transfer, they were like, "Congratulations! Unless we have a reason to believe so, this is gonna work." Like that's the attitude they had. And I conceived in January. I conceived. One of the things I wanted to tell you was this. I have, now that I remember it, I always visualized taking a pregnancy test. I never did. I never had to. I never had the urge to. I just went on the blood test results that I got. I was so hung up on that pregnancy stick. And those visualizations, I was like, I was going to go tell my partner, whatever. I was like, yeah, of course. It's done.
Wow. Okay. So the first time you went to Spain, there was no transfer because you forgot to take the medication. So it was technically your very first transfer that you got pregnant, and then you didn't even bother to pee on a stick.
No, I didn't need conviction.
Because you were already convicted. You already knew, and you were already celebrating.
Yes.
Wow, Sam. I mean, it's so interesting to me how that comes full circle, because you felt this sense of faith, you reconnected to it, and you're pregnant on your first transfer.
Yeah.
Wow. So she was born September 25th.
Yes.
What about your pregnancy? Like, how did you use this mindset stuff through your pregnancy? Because it would have been really easy for you to go off the deep end. Because, like, a lot of women don't appreciate the fact that getting pregnant is really the beginning.
Oh my God. Talk about it. So one of the reasons why we haven't had this podcast, like we didn't do this podcast while I was pregnant, was all 9 months I was throwing up. I was sick all 9 months. I couldn't hold a conversation. And physically and emotionally, it was quite challenging. And also, you don't realize the amount of advice people offer. Like people who are not even on your journey, like, oh my God, like this is how you need to raise your child. This is what you should do. And I'm like, hold on, you have no clue what I've been through to get to this stage. Like, back off, like literally. I would say the biggest lesson with my pregnancy was surrender, because I kind of feel like I went through like a dark hole with my pregnancy, to be honest. And it was the biggest thing I ever wanted. So there was a joy there, but then physically and emotionally, I was like so down, so down. Yet the blessings at work, with my partner, with friends showing up for me, unbelievable. A neighbor cooking for me like every weekend, like people I don't know, like literally, it was so many miracles around, Roseanne. Like, it kind of shows that you really are supported, like you are. We just don't realize it. And it does take a dark time like that, like one of the most happiest moments in my life. Yet it was quite challenging with the pregnancy. And then, of course, with the hormones going crazy, I was like, will this child look like me? Will I love this child? Because I conceived this child through a donor. And in a way, I wanted to wait and see how I felt before we had this podcast, because I've met her now. I've known her for a month. She's a proper queen.
Well, let's talk about that. I mean, because something that felt so right at the time, like, did you have doubt? Like, I mean, it sounds like you wanted to see, I mean, but you're also kind of in this up and down hormonal thing. Like, where are you today with that?
I followed a part of the advice that I got. I elected for a C-section. It felt right to me. It was a dream when it happened. I loved the consultant. I loved everything was perfect. We had Lion Kings playing in the background, like Simba. She like over the curtain, she like held my daughter and showed me my daughter. It was just truly magical. And then my heart of hearts, I was doing research on vaccines, and my decision was to not to vaccinate my daughter. Lots of controversial conversations going on about that. There were lots of things. I felt like as a parent, like everything I went through gave me the strength to be that mum, to make those decisions, to speak up to a consultant and say, actually, I'm not going to give this vitamin K because I've read the leaflets. There's a black box warning, blah, blah, blah. I wouldn't have had the courage to do that if I hadn't gone through my journey that I went through. The minute I held her, I don't have words. Like, who cares? Like, even the donate thing didn't even cross my mind. The most magical moment. And she also looks like me as well.
Can we talk about epigenetics here? Like, everyone is so afraid of that, and they get into it's. We are either in heaven or hell on this journey, and it is entirely of our own creation. And I don't think that people fully appreciate that. But you are speaking to that truth right now, because it all went away in a moment when you held her. You were united with your daughter in the physical. But I think it's also so incredible that in your own transformation, Sam, emerged this mother bear, this mama bear figure that came out, and you were more than just a woman who wanted to be a mom. Like, you truly wanted to parent in a conscious and informed way. Like, because it would have been so easy for you, Sam, to just say, you know what, I'm just so happy to have my baby here. Let those people decide for me. Like, you took your responsibility to your daughter extremely seriously, to the degree that, I mean, most people don't do the research that you're talking about.
I'm her voice. I'm her protector. I'm speaking up on behalf of her till she can do it for herself. And when the consultant said, like, oh, are you scared of injections? She put a note on the laptop saying the parent is. I said, no, change that. Nah, I'm not scared of injections. My belief is that one injection is not, every baby is not going to respond the same way to one injection. You're blanketly prescribing this injection to my child, not checking if my child is going to respond to this right. That's why. And I heard myself say that. And I always planned to take my partner with me, because I always felt like I didn't have the courage to speak up for myself. But for some reason, he never could make it. Either my dog's school was finishing, he had to go pick her up, or he had a meeting. So it always had to be me by myself. And I just realized that now, because I was like, you need to come with me. We need to go as a team. And, and it always had to be me by myself, like being her voice.
But isn't that Gus, Sam? Isn't that really the presence of God, universe, source, giving us the opportunity to stand in our power? Like, that is a theme throughout our conversation here, is a reclamation of your own power. It's you standing in your sense of purpose around your daughter, this acknowledgement that you're not just the woman who carried her, you are responsible for her, and that until you're satisfied with the information in front of you, you are not just going to hand your authority to anyone.
No.
Wow.
No.
Especially when it comes to her welfare, and especially with all of the information that we know now as parents that is coming out like a fire hose. I think it took a lot of courage for you to not shrink in that moment and to stand in what's true. Well done. Well done. I mean, and now she's a month and 3 days old, and you're really starting to get to know her. Like, what do you think are some of the biggest lessons that you've learned since her birth?
How can I explain this? Put it into words. Then the unconscious me, or the unconscious me would be like that rescuing helicopter parent, whereas the conscious me is like, teach her how to trust herself. Of course, she's too young now, so skin to skin, all of that. But my aim is to teach her how to trust herself, and that means letting things get messy, allowing things to get, not always rescuing her. Yes, for vaccines and stuff like that, I will stick up by her. That's different. But when it comes to life, and she feels like something's right and she wants to go for it, I would be that parent who would let her go for it. Not wishing anything bad on her, but if she does, I'm there. I'll be there to support her. But teaching her to trust herself and trying my best to be that example of the woman she could be as a mom. Not be perfect. I'm going to make mistakes as well, but the best I can, in the best way I can, really, is what is coming up for me for this month that I've been a mom, if that makes sense.
Oh, it makes perfect sense. Well, and let's rewind a little bit, because it's interesting, because this is an evolution, right? I mean, you went through one program, but you came back for a second. What was that about? Was there more evolution to be had for you? Because some people would go oh, I did one program, that's enough. Why did you come back?
I miss the community. I really miss the community, and the Full Throttle program opened me up to the community, and I've got soul sisters in the UK that we meet up every year. And
I've seen the pictures. I've seen the pictures.
Literally, Amara, my daughter, has got a wardrobe for up to 1 year, because one of my soul sisters are sending me packs and packs of clothes. And it's where it's a safe space where we could share our darkest moments. It's not always hunky-dory every day. And where we would support each other, and not in a surface level, 3D level. It's more on a spiritual level where we cheer each other on. And that was the main reason why I signed up for the second round, because that community was what I needed. The healing, the 8-week program gave me the healing I needed, the kick in the butt, all of that, literally all of that was the 8-week program. But then, the 3-month program was mainly to do with the community.
Yeah, and it's interesting because it is a very, very unique community. Yes. From the standpoint that this isn't just some rando, baby dust 6789 on some random Facebook group or some weird board. These are real women that are peers, very ambitious, accomplished like yourself, growth oriented, and doing incredible things in the world. And it is a peer group. It is this interesting community of like-minded women, truly from all over the world. I mean, at any point in time, I can pick up my phone and at 3 a.m., there's some conversation going, because y'all are spread out all over the world.
Yes.
But you speak a common language of fearlessness that I think is really extraordinary. I mean, it blows me away when I look at the quality of conversations and really looking at how all of you are developing and really evolving, not only as mothers, but as women. And I think, and I saw that, and I saw your picture. And then when you shared your pregnancy photos, they're so beautiful. I mean, it was such a beautiful thing, really bringing this back to you, really watching that personal evolution and watching how beautifully you stepped into motherhood in a really empowered way, that you weren't going to lose yourself in this process.
Yes, definitely.
Wow, Sam. Well, I am so grateful that you came on to share this, and really your generosity, I think, is going to really serve other women to consider this conversation for themselves and really reach in and find out, like, are the things that I believe, are they real? Or are they somebody else's story? What's true for me? What feels right for me? That's one of the most powerful questions that we can ever ask. And I love that you're living proof that miracles can come from so many different directions, and don't discount them when they do.
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming on, Sam. And if there was one more thing that you would like to close with, what would that be?
There's two things, sorry.
Okay, you do you. This is your story, girl.
This came to mind this weekend when we went out shopping to celebrate Amara's 1 month of life. One lady came up to me and said, "Thank you for this blessing where I got to see this baby. Thank you." She just came up to me, and I was like thinking, sometimes these lives that you're calling in, it's not only for you. It's for a bigger reason. It would have been for that moment. I don't know what I gave that person, but she received something at that point, and it was heartfelt. The message I would love to give my fellow sisters is, let go of the how. Let go of the how. Follow your heart, follow the joy, and you'll be holding your baby.
Oh, that is so beautiful, Sam. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, ultimately, the how is none of our business. What is our business is having the courage to keep saying yes and to follow our hearts. So thank you for that, and go please hug baby Amira for us. I just love seeing the pictures and seeing you, and thank you for your generosity and sharing your story. I know it's going to touch so many lives. So thank you, Sam.
Thank you so much.
Loves, wasn't my conversation with Sam absolutely inspiring? I love this woman. So kind, so generous, and so willing to just be freaking honest about what she went through so that she can help you get to a place where you can feel really good about yourself and your discernment. I love the way she really sets the stage for being the woman who lives life and her journey on her terms. This is a really kind and generous woman who was willing to challenge her own biases about how this journey was supposed to be, and instead chose what felt right to her. And I encourage all of you to take that lesson from this interview. So if you want me to teach you what I taught Sam so that you can be in a place where you can be open to the possibilities, you stop beating yourself up, and you really position yourself to conceive with confidence, go to my website, www.frommaybe2baby.com, and apply for an interview there. My methodology, as you can see, has helped women around the world overcome the obstacles and the blocks to their baby. Because here's the deal, mindset makes all the difference on this journey. Everything about this is logical, linear, and true. What you've got going on in your head isn't just an inconvenience. It literally is creating a path to your baby. Your mindset and what you think and believe, and therefore your perceptions, are going to decide whether or not you are setting yourself up for success or heartbreak on this journey. So if you want to learn what I taught Sam, go to www.frommaybe2baby.com and apply for an interview there. Till next time, change your mindset, change your results. Love this episode of the Fearlessly Fertile podcast? Subscribe now and leave an awesome review. Remember, the desire in your heart to be a mom is there because it was meant for you. When it comes to your dreams, keep saying hell yes.